Month 4. Give up the demon drink. I am in control of my own well-being. Most people enjoy a tipple or two. You may enjoy catching up with colleagues in the pub after work on Thursday, or your Friday night curry just wouldn't be the same without a couple of beers. The pub lunch with the girls on Saturday is crying out for a glass or two of Chardonnay, and no Sunday roast would be complete without a nice rioja. It's far too easy to include alcohol in our lives, and before we know it, we are drinking above the government's recommendations. I do enjoy a drink or three, and not wanting to come across as a raving alcoholic, I decided to do a spot of research for my alcohol-free resolution. The results were shocking. So, what are the government guidelines? The government advises that we do not regularly drink more than the daily unit guidelines. For men, this would be 3 to 4 units a day. This is the equivalent of 1.5 pints of 4% beer a day. For women, it's less, 2 to 3 units, which is the equivalent of 175 milliliter glass of wine. If, like me, you have fabricated the number of units you consume when asked by your doctor, go on, admit it, then you need to log on to the Drink Aware website. This site is a wonderful resource for all your alcohol-related questions. Links can be found at the end of the book. They have a simple calculator where you can work out your units per day or week. It calculates the total number of units, total number of calories, and shows you just how much damage you are doing to your health. I was shocked to discover that after a jolly Easter Sunday spent with my family, I was classified as a binge-level drinker. OK, I admit we did consume a fair amount over our Easter buffet, and I was a peculiar shade of green on Bank Holiday Monday, but binge-level? Maybe this no-alcohol resolution wouldn't be such a bad idea after all. My April resolution was therefore underway. 30 days alcohol-free, no alcohol. Où est le vin? This was going to be a tough one. I could have chosen February to tackle this resolution, as it would have been a shorter month, but I was here now, the challenge had been set, and I was ready and raring to go. Luckily for me, I am a bit of a tea face, so when I looked at my wine-free fridge, at least I knew I could put the kettle on and have a nice cup of Tetley instead. However, I had planned a week away with my children, my dad's birthday party and a girls' night out, all without so much as a sip of alcohol. Moral support would be needed. Heading down the M5 to spend our Easter break at the Haven Holiday Village, Burnham-on-Sea, would normally be a cause for celebration. On this occasion, I had a sense of trepidation. Could I enjoy my holiday without alcohol? Yet again, I appear to be giving you all the impression that I am some half-soaked mother who is permanently attached to a bottle of gin. I assure you this is not the case. I prefer vodka. Holidays go hand in hand with relaxing by the pool, watching a good turn at the clubhouse, and enjoying a meal out at a local restaurant. Staying on a site with everything you could possibly need on your doorstep means you can leave the car and let your hair down, or enjoy a latte in the coffee lounge if you are off the demon drink. So my mission for week 15 surrounded surrounded by clinking glasses and merry holiday-makers, was to work my way through the soft drinks menu, lemonade, Diet Coke, and a hideous slushy, which left my tongue blue. Normally, when the kids go swimming and hit the water slides, I park myself in the bar overlooking the pool, with a good book and a large glass of vino. Me time is a rare luxury. Glancing around at the frosted beer glasses, I chose to climb into my swimsuit and join the children before stopping off for a hot chocolate with extra whipped cream on the way back to the caravan. Note to self, don't tell my Weight Watchers leader just how many hot chocolates I had. Is it possible to enjoy a holiday without alcohol? Well, yes it is, and it happened to be much easier than I thought. If you have an alcohol-free month coming up on your own resolution list, then my 3 top tips may help you plan. Offer to drive to local attractions to put paid to the temptation for a lunchtime drink. Check out the drinks menu for non-alcoholic alternatives. Many holiday centres offer great mocktails. Treat yourself to a new top, manicure or iTunes download if you manage 1 week alcohol-free. If you don't think you fancy going cold turkey on holiday, then pace yourself on a night out and alternate alcoholic drinks with soft ones. You can find lots of top tips at calculated.drinkiq.com. Burnham-on-Sea Holiday Village holds many happy memories for us as a family. Aside from the lovely food, proximity to the beach and the variety of attractions, it is also the place where I won a dance competition several years ago. I'm sure you are now picturing me in a beautiful ball gown or high heels and a saucy salsa number. Sorry to disappoint. This particular dance contest was for the cha-cha slide. One balmy summer evening, I was adopted by a Welsh family who believed they were saving me from my sad singleton evening as I nursed a bottle of wine while my children danced and played with newfound friends. It all went downhill from there. As it happens, my kids were very proud of their mum, since I beat the other contestants on the stage and won. Yep, a bottle of wine. Would I be able to replicate this stardom without the Dutch courage of a glass or two of Rioja? It occurred to me as I stood under the spotlight in the centre of the brightly coloured big top at Paolo's Circus that it has nothing to do with alcohol. I just have one of those faces that means every entertainment rep or clown finds it incredibly easy to drag me up on stage, make me do stupid things and send me on my way. Of course, following on from my unexpected 5 minutes of fame with Paolo's Circus, I had a craving for circus-related mocktails. Luckily, I had a few blog readers who accommodated me with some lovely recipes. Flying Fairbrother from Tracy Mason. In a shaker half filled with ice, combine 2 ounces of grapefruit juice, 1 ounce of orange juice, 1 ounce cranberry juice, and 1 teaspoon of honey. Shake well. Strain into a Collins glass, almost filled with ice cubes, and top with 3 ounces ginger beer. Stir well and enjoy. Lion Tamer from Brenda Wilson. Cut a small watermelon into chunks and freeze overnight. When fully frozen, blend with 2½ cups of almond milk in a blender until smooth. Pour into a glass and garnish with sprigs of mint and enjoy. Coco the Clown from Amanda Thomas. Drizzle some fudge sauce around the rim of a martini glass. Blend 2 ounces of chocolate ice cream, 1 can of coconut cream, and crushed ice for 2 minutes in a blender until smooth. Pour into the prepared glass and enjoy. Week 17 and the 4th week, alcohol-free, was a tough one. I'd been asked by every one of my clients at work, "How are you coping without alcohol?" I obviously have a reputation. My answer surprised me. I was miserable. Never did I imagine that giving up alcohol would be so hard. I've had 3 children and was able to abstain from drinking while pregnant and for many months after giving birth each time. I gave up for a year in 2010 after having a bout of low self-esteem. So why had I found this particular challenge so tough? This got me thinking about cravings and how it might be possible that the stuff between my ears, commonly known as the brain, may be the culprit. I was right, and during my research, I discovered that alcohol cravings are linked to low blood sugar. This, therefore, explains why I had been stuffing my face with 4 whisper bars a week. The part of our brain which is affected by addiction is also the same part which allows you to exercise willpower. No hope for me then. Heavy alcohol intake can cause changes to our brain, which then takes a while to return to normal. The advice handed down from the professionals suggests changing your habits and mental association with alcohol. This makes sense, as I often find myself pouring a glass of wine at 6 p.m. on a Friday from habit. If this sounds familiar, then why not try to retrain your mind and body? Instead of pouring a glass of wine, put the kettle on. If you always have a bottle with a Chinese, order a pizza and make a jug of squash. By doing something different, you are altering your brain's associations and making it easier to cut down on your alcohol intake. Try it out for yourself, or see what other habits you can change. I always have a blueberry muffin when I go to Costa out of habit. There lies my next challenge. As I trawled the web looking for like-minded souls, I came across Tara Gladden's Wonder Women blog at the Telegraph. She gave up drinking in January to support Cancer Research UK, and her Diary of a Dry Athlete is definitely worth a read. Would I do it again? Yes, I would. But I think giving something up for a good cause, as Tara did, gives you a reason and therefore tricks the grey matter into thinking it's a good idea. If you are planning to give up drinking, whether it's for charity, financial, health and weight loss reasons, or you just want to cut back, then the internet is full of useful information. The Drink Aware site is a marvellous resource, and for those with a more serious addiction, Alcoholics Anonymous has a refreshingly helpful website. Links can be found at the back of the book. Month 4 equals mission completed. Month 5. Do something I've never done before. I am adventurous. As tempted as I was to break open the bubbly and celebrate the end of my alcohol-free month, I refrained so I had a clear head for the start of my May resolution challenge. Do something I've never done before. When I originally wrote my challenge list, I selfishly included things I knew I would enjoy. It is my list, after all, even if I knew they would push me in some way. On paper, it was fairly straightforward. I had a very long bucket list, and all I needed to do was to choose my 4 favourite challenges. But the universe had other ideas, and suddenly my best-laid plans were up in the air. I couldn't complain, though, as the additional challenge which presented itself to me was definitely something I'd never done before. An opportunity arose to talk about my job in a bid to help an entire junior school year group, and so I jumped at the chance. I love working with children, I love my job, and as anyone who knows me will confirm, I love to talk. That is how I ended up running my first stress-busting workshop for Year 6 at my local junior school. As my own daughter was struggling to cope with the anxiety of sitting her SATs, I felt a responsibility to these children who, aged just 10 and 11, were coping with an ever-changing world, a mix of emotions and anxieties and raging hormones which they were struggling to understand. Out of all the self-help techniques I offer my clients, I decided to use Emotional Freedom Technique, EFT, with the children and based my entire talk on tapping to help release their fears, anger and worries prior to their tests. With a move to secondary school also on the horizon, we covered their feelings towards this. Emotional Freedom Technique, EFT, is a simple energy therapy which enables you to free yourself from emotional negativity. Our body operates in harmony with our energy system, and when this energy is disrupted, we experience blocks. Any imbalance in the body's energy system can have profound effects on our personal psychology. A distressing memory causes a negative emotion, and this in turn can manifest as a physical illness. Its founder, Gary Craig, recognized that tapping on the end points of the body's energy meridians was effective in relieving these blocks and releasing negative emotions and memories which may have plagued us for years. Deep-rooted issues are always best handled with the support of a qualified EFT practitioner, and you can find a local therapist through the AAMET website. Links can be found at the end of the book. Children take to this therapy very quickly, and I therefore knew that my presentation would need to be quick and fun so I didn't lose my audience. I included a variety of exercises and tied this in with relevant key stage curriculum links to enhance their learning. I introduced my bear, Ray, who was happy to have stickers attached to him to show the tapping points. It was a huge success and the children were amazing. They got involved with the practical side of the workshop and volunteered where necessary. When I asked them to suggest emotions we could work on, they provided me with a variety of feelings, including being stressed, bored, nervous, scared, and even excited. They were a credit to their school and a pleasure to work with. Running through the presentation prior to their arrival, in a bid to ensure I didn't let the children down, I had rehearsed and rehearsed the slides so much that the practice tapping I did on myself totally chilled me out and I was able to thoroughly enjoy the experience. What an incredible way to start my Do Something I've Never Done Before challenge. I do love to plan and organise, and I am an avid list maker, but the one lesson I have learnt during my resolution challenge is to be wide open to opportunities, as some of them could just change your life. Once I came down from the euphoria of helping others, I had to tackle the rest of my list of challenges. I say challenge in the loosest sense, as the activities I took part in couldn't really be classed as challenging, except maybe for the zip wire. Could I top teaching Year 6 at my local junior school on how to survive anxiety caused by exams? Well, no, probably not. But then, unique opportunities should never be overlooked. That got me thinking about my lovely clients, who patiently pore over my blog posts and listen to me waffle on during their holistic sessions, and so I thought I'd include something new that was accessible for my readers to try, and something I'd wanted to do since I was a child. Make my own fairy garden. We have always had fairies at the bottom of our garden, so it was fairly apt that on a sunny bank holiday weekend, my daughter and I set about making a fairy garden. I dug, no pun intended, about in the shed and came across an old wine crate, which was the perfect size for our little fairies, and then we went into creative mode. We assembled our tools, the crate, any small container will do, remember to drill drainage holes in the bottom, our compost, plants and, of course, the fairies. We filled the crate with a black bin bag so the wood didn't rot, and then added a layer of stones to help with the drainage. When this was done, we emptied the compost on top and smoothed it out. Once the compost was in place, we were able to plant our flowers. We used some small stones to mark a path through the garden, so the fairies didn't get their shoes dirty, and added a solar lamp, available at any garden centre or supermarket. Well, fairies do like to play out at night. We chose mixed lobelia, as they are easy to grow and would give us a colourful garden for the summer. With all our flowers planted up, we then invited our fairies along, and they all seemed delighted with their new garden. Don't worry if you haven't got any fairies to hand. Sprinkle your garden with a little fairy dust, and they will find you. So there you have it, a perfect fairy garden. Great for any garden or patio area, and don't worry if you don't have a garden, why not have a go at making one in a plant pot? With some leftover plants and a selection of crystals, my daughter made a smaller garden in a little plant pot that was going spare, perfect for a window ledge. If you want to take a look at the fairy garden we produced, follow the link on my blog. I began to realise that having a go at something new didn't mean I had to break a world record or reinvent the wheel. This challenge had certainly made me think outside the box, but I'd also realised that it was the little things that counted just as much as the life-changing achievements. I spent a wonderful weekend with my daughter, and seeing the smile on her face when we watered our little garden and watched the solar light flicker on at dusk was simply priceless. Do something I've never done before really has been my favourite challenge so far. As I hit week 20, I realised how much I was looking forward to ticking off the next challenge on my list. It never occurred to me on New Year's Eve that I was going to have so much fun doing such basic things and making such simple changes. And week 20's challenge was as simple and basic as it got, because I'm not a sewing guru. In fact, I was most definitely a virgin when it came to all things needle and thread, and sewing did come under my Do Something I've Never Done Before banner. First of all, I must say a huge thank you to Nikki from Sunshine Reflections, who was my Yoda for this challenge. She patiently talked me through the process, offering her expert advice and a calming word when the sewing machine freaked me out. Nikki's blog has some of the amazing projects she has done. Links can be found at the end of the book. So, as a quilting newbie, I opted to make a cushion cover rather than a king-size bedspread. Phew. And in an idiot's guide fashion, here's how I got on. 1. I chose my pattern. A simple 15-inch cushion cover with 9 by 5-inch squares. The pattern I picked had a star in the centre, so 5 of the squares were broken up into sections of the star. 2. I chose my fabric, and feeling patriotic, I opted for a truly British theme of red, white and blue. 3. I traced the pattern shapes onto paper and cut them out. Top tip: if you think you will reuse your pattern cutouts, laminate them so they last. 4. Using a large cutting board and a very nifty rotary cutter, a special tool to cut material, I cut out the fabric using my templates. 5. Once all my pieces were cut out, I laid them out to double check before I started sewing. There were 4 5-inch corner pieces. The other 5 sections were made up of triangle slices. The very centre square had 4 sections, 2 red and 2 blue, and the 4 outer sections had 2 flag pattern and 1 coloured triangle. 6. Next step was to pin the sections together. We did this 2 little bits at a time, so I only had to sew small sections to begin with. I did 1 row at a time until I had 3 strips of 15 inches by 5 inches. 7. Once that was done, I sewed the strips together, carefully, until I had a finished front panel. 8. With my awesome front section completed, we chose 2 fabrics to make up the back side, one 9-inch and one 12-inch. These would overlap to form the envelope to keep our cushion filling safe. I did a hem along one edge of each piece so they looked neat, and then it was time to put it all together. 9. Turning the fabric so it was pattern side facing each other, I sewed the front and back pieces together and did a reverse stitch over the seam ends for added strength. 10. Once I had gone all the way round, it was time to turn the cover the right way round and see the finished product. My first ever handmade quilt cushion cover, and no blood, sweat or tears. My Do Something I've Never Done Before month was going very well. However, I seemed to have the knack of fitting extracurricular activities into the schedule. Week 21 was supposed to be the perfect time to calm my antics slightly and enjoy a girly pamper session. Definitely something I've never done before, as I am such a tomboy. But prior to my lash-tastic hour of bliss, I was faced with the daunting task of putting together a mountain of flat-pack furniture. Allow me to explain. My daughter went away with school for a week, and I thought that would be the perfect opportunity to redecorate her bedroom as a surprise. At the time, it didn't cross my mind just how much work this would entail, but as the cardboard boxes kept arriving, my stress levels began to peak. The 14 packages included a corner wardrobe, a triple wardrobe, a double wardrobe, a bedside cabinet, a desk, and a single ottoman bed. Flat packs can be a challenge at the best of times, but with just 3 days to build, paint, and dress the room, I realised I had bitten off a little more than I could chew. It was one of my lovely clients, Linda, who suggested that I use this experience as part of my challenge and blog about the details. "How often do you flat pack?" she asked. So true. So my speedy room makeover became part of my resolution challenge. I must say I felt a huge sense of satisfaction when it was finished, and my daughter squealed with delight when she got home. My hands were covered in blisters, my knees were creaking in a most alarming manner, and every inch of my body ached. But this challenge was definitely worth the blood, sweat and tears. So finally, after the last of the empty boxes had been recycled, I could concentrate on my original plan and enjoy a girly pamper session with Ellie from Solihull-based Beauty by Ellie. I reclined on the spa couch and turned my stunted little lashes over to a very talented beautician. It wasn't what I expected. In fact, I would highly recommend eyelash extensions, purely for the relaxation of it. I would have nodded off if my good friend Sarah hadn't been primed as star photographer and kept prodding me for my next shot. It was pain-free, quick and relaxing, and I found it highly amusing when Ellie brushed my new long lashes with her tiny lash comb. I may be female, but I am most definitely not a girly girl. As a child, I was often found up a tree or on a rope swing, and my tomboy ways extended into my adult life, where I am happier in jeans and Converse rather than dresses and high heels. So doing something so ladylike was most definitely a challenge, but I loved my long, luscious lashes. There may be hope for this tomboy yet. As week 22 arrived, so did the sunshine, together with the grand finale for May's challenge, Do Something I've Never Done Before. When I decided on New Year's Eve to do these challenges, I had the basic idea in place. It had evolved over the months, but I knew there were certain goals I had put off over the years, and this challenge would be the motivation I needed to see them through. Writing, creative pursuits, weight loss, all respectable goals, but I wanted to show my clients and my children that it doesn't hurt to think outside the box. Never at any point did it cross my mind that screaming my lungs out as I plummeted through the trees, lassoed to a strip of wire, would appear on my to-do list. Our family holiday to Centre Parks in the beautiful Sherwood Forest Village in Nottinghamshire was pre-booked ready for the half-term holiday, and so, as I perused the activities brochure, I had a moment of madness and thought, what a great idea! I'll add an action challenge to my blog. So that is how Zipwire appeared on the list. I thought it would be fairly easy, as I'd done abseiling, kayaking, potholing and rock climbing. I'd also been to the top of the Eiffel Tower, Empire State Building and World Trade Center. What I failed to realise is that I was 11 when I tackled those adventurous activities, and in my teens and 20s when I travelled. It was only as I stood in a full harness and safety helmet that I remembered I was 42, a single mother of 3 and bloody petrified. My eldest son very kindly accompanied me on this trip of terror, and I was very grateful to have him by my side. My hands started shaking the second I walked through the gate. The staff were fantastic and went through the health and safety regulations clearly and explained the course to me in idiot-proof language, as I think they realised I was a wee bit nervous. The time came to climb up the ladders to reach the walkways. Lee went first, and I followed behind, with an army of 8-year-olds bringing up the rear. I'm not joking, I was the only adult and the only one trembling. I honestly thought I would be sick as I stepped out onto the tiny wire bridge. All that kept going through my mind was, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here! And I half expected Ant and Dec to meet me at the end. Luckily, the day was dry and sunny. I can't even imagine what it must be like crossing that first bridge in the rain. My palms were sweating so much I was struggling to cling on as it was. Finally, Bridge 1 was complete. My legs were shaking so much and my head was pounding from the concentration. Lee was steaming ahead, and I could hear the excited giggles of the kids behind me, probably wondering if they would get into trouble if they threw the old bird off the bridge who was holding up their fun. Bridge number 2 loomed. This one didn't look so bad, and at least there were flat footholds. If only the thing would stop swaying, I might be able to keep my breakfast down. As I stepped onto the tiny wooden platform at the end of the bridge, I let out a rather large OMG, which of course the giggling children behind thought was highly amusing. You'll be fine, they said. That was easy for them to say, as they probably weighed 2 stone altogether. Knowing I was carrying a little holiday weight, I had visions of the wire snapping as I launched myself off the platform and into the abyss. The member of staff on the ground shouted some comforting words to me, before adding, After 3, just jump! Madness! If my heart hadn't been trying to escape my chest and my knees had been able to stop knocking, I might have taken a moment to appreciate the amazing scenery. The sun filtered through the trees and the light breeze carried the sounds of chattering squirrels and the woodland birds. For the love of God! Then he said, Jump! So I jumped, then screamed the whole way down. Surprisingly, I kept my eyes open all the way and managed to see the wonderful hues of greens and browns of the forest flash past. I spotted my brave son cheering me on, and my parents and other children taking photos and videos and laughing, and then I saw the cargo net at the end of the wire as it approached at breakneck speed. My landing wasn't as ladylike as I would have liked, but I was safely back on the ground, still shaking though. Lee shot off to have another go as I let the nearest member of staff peel me out of my harness. Sure you don't want to have another go? He asked. Never again. I am, however, incredibly proud of myself that I achieved this goal. The children made it look so easy, and not one of them screamed. My dad captured my entire descent on his camera phone, and I think I screamed enough for everyone. Doing something you've never done before can provide you with the tools to have an amazing adventure. I may have been shaking for several hours after, and my stomach was whirling for a while too, but I wouldn't have missed it for the world. My daughter's hug as I reached the ground was worth the nerves. She was proud of her old mum, and that felt great. Month 5 equals mission completed.